Lowndes is in the wall.
No. Lowndes has gone into
Forest
Elbow.
Elbow.
Look at that.
On the exit to Forest Elbow. Can you believe it? The race leader.
And that is not the first time that's happened to Neil Crompton. When he and Wayne Gardner were leading before, that's exactly where they crashed out. They're going off everywhere. That's a Ricky Nash entry.
The safety car is on the circuit, not surprisingly. Now, Craig Lowndes has gone into a tyre barrier there. He hasn't hit the concrete, I don't think. He's just dislodged. Haviland car, there's going to be cars spearing off all over the place. There's still going to be a few more, I reckon.
And do you see this? What I was saying, when you're going up the mountain, if it was as wet as this when you got to the top of the mountain, you could have a horrific break.
Well, it just goes to show the Haviland car was caught out. Probably what caught Lowndes out as well. Now, Lowndes, I can't quite see there whether he's managed to back out of there, but he actually drilled the tyre wall.
Look at those. Now that is, they're going thinking, oh, well, he's going that speed, so I can go that speed, and both go off together.
No, he's still in there.
Stuck in there. Craig Lowndes and the Gibson Motorsport Ford. You're looking at your race leader, or he was the race leader, crunched into the Aussie Mail elbow.
How would you feel? How would you feel?
So, the way it is, just wheel spinning.
Yes. Till someone tows me backwards, I'll be able to drive it back.
He's feeling vulnerable there.
Tander's
Problems
gone
here
off
for
as well.
Tander and Bargwana. Everyone's losing it down at the elbow. So there's cars spearing off every direction.
Well, here's a replay, a Shell Helix replay of Gibson Motorsports. Craig Lowndes, watch to the top of your screen, trying to pull it up, and crunch.
Well, that car doesn't look very badly damaged at all. Look, if he can get out, let's see the wheel spin. He just can't back the car out.
That's what he was saying. It was just spinning.
Illegal, here it is.
Oh, that's even less now.
Look at how he's closed the gap, the rat. In the Shell 17 Falcon, there's still plenty of time to take the lead. Russell Ingall struggling here.
On the track at the moment, you can do it.
Getting encouragement from the team.
Seven laps to go.
Whoa, this is
What an
nerve-wracking second lap.
Look at these guys racing on a knife's edge. They're both on slick tyres, dry weather tyres. So grip, very hard to find. He sneaks up the inside, or does he? Russell Ingall is known for his tough fighting. They're going to go side by side up the back straight. Radicic is beautifully positioned on the inside as they break down toward turn 3. Ford, Holden, who's it going to be? Radicic on the inside. Ingall goes a fraction deeper. He wants to argue. Radicic, though, beautifully positioned on the inside. And the Shell Ford takes the lead.
Magnificent start from Paul Radicic. He just ground Russell Ingall down. Now, can the Enforcer respond? And it is teaming down here at Queensland Raceway. Will the HRT cars come back into contention? Bright is currently 6th. Longhurst is back in 7th.
Well, Radicic isn't home and hosed by a long shot. Here's Bright running wide after that stop. So you can see the track, even with wet weather tyres, still greasy.
They were probably new wet weather tyres, Mark. They weren't scrubbed at all.
The top 5 cars are out there on slick tyres.
You can hear the panic stream now. Radicic has decided to come into the pits, and Ingall's coming with him. So,
look at this.
Conditions must be so bad you cannot stay out there on dry weather tyres. Can you believe this drama toward the end of the race? John Bowe and Greg Murphy now, who's in 3rd, will take over the lead.
Well, Jason Bright is around about a little over a minute down, perhaps a minute 20 seconds on these guys. This needs to be a very slick stop. It can still be a race win for Russell Ingall and Larry Perkins, likewise Radicic and Johnson, but they need to get out, and they need to get out fast.
Bit of a battle here in the pits. Looks like the Castrol Commodore may be coming out of the pits very quickly. Here it comes.
Yeah, the Commodore.
40k.
He's gonna...
12 seconds was the stop for Russell Ingall. He's heading down pit lane now. It's taking a little bit longer for the Shell Helix team. Who'll get out in front here? And Radicic has done it. He's just edged ahead of Russell. Can you believe that?
Now let's take a look at where they come out back onto the circuit, because Jason Bright will be charging around. 6 laps to go, looking up the straight. Bright is nowhere in sight. Radicic still the race leader.
Keep in mind, Greg Murphy's in front. Murphy still hasn't pitted, so Murphy's out there on slick tyres. He's our race leader at the moment.
Best of luck to him, I tell you.
Very confusing here. So Greg Murphy, we're just trying to pick up a picture of our race leader in car 15. Still on slick tyres. What is the Murph going to do?
Will the Kiwi be able to hang out there? His last lap time was something like a 1:20, which wasn't too bad under these circumstances.
Oh, look at them tiptoeing around. It's like an ice skating rink out there at the moment. There's been a lot of oil laid down. You see the Toll OP car just running wide. Everyone's struggling for grip. Look at Ingall trying to get 600 horsepower to the ground through those cold tyres.
I have to say, the Ford looks better in the rain, didn't it? Get a lot more traction in the rain.
Wow.
this lap. Murph pit this lap.
Ah,
The rain's coming.
starting to rain. So Murph's coming in.
Some word that that incident that we saw Tony Longhurst ending up in a spin up at turn 4, Paul Morris has been pinged for that, and he'll do a drive-through now.
HRT
Crucial
coming in
moment.
too.
Wet, fellas.
HRT coming in as well, so this works out well for Murphy.
Guys are in, so just be careful.
And remember that Murphy's got to do pads.
Move your wheel, Timbo.
Pressure is on the crews now. Don't get this wrong. They've got a big load of fuel to take on, but they've got to get this stop right. There's a problem here for Murphy. Delayed coming in. Rusty's on the spot.
I could not believe it. Jamie Whincup got given the thumbs up to go. He endeavoured to leave pit lane as he'd been instructed, and Murph was right there. This is going to be so costly. They haven't even started doing the stop yet, and there's damage to the rear wing of Murphy's car as well.
Oh, what a disaster.
Hail in pit straight, rain everywhere else. Mark Scaife. Well, there's the hail. What next here? That's pit lane, of course, the low-level shot, and boy, there's been some drama in that particular stretch of road this afternoon. We estimate around 148 laps of this race. Mark Scaife under threat. His lead is down to 35.5 seconds. Jason Richards' car is back out there. What a performance from him and Simon Wills for Team Dynamic, and Luke Yilden and Steve Ellery in third place.
Oh, look at
And
it.
you can hear it. Just a quick check ahead on your home of motorsport, the VIP Pet Foods main event. Final round of the championship is Greg Rust.
Well, it's falling, guys. As you can see, it's probably about the size of, I don't know, a couple of pinheads. It actually hurts your face when it's coming down.
Wouldn't make any difference to you, Rusty.
No, thank you. It's probably not hurting me at all. But the vision, when you turn from the left-hander onto the front straight, you can virtually not even see the end of pit straight. Safety car on the circuit by the looks of it.
Hey, Rusty, you can go inside now.
He's got bad dandruff, hasn't he?
I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
Funnily enough, Rusty, they've called turns 2, 3 down there. They called it the Ford Rapids. Ford decided to sponsor that part of the circuit. They've called it the Ford Rapids. I don't think they were counting on actually giving these guys paddles to get through it, but that's the way that it's turned out. The Audi safety car, the A8, is now trying to track down the leader, and that's the reason why car 24's off. Everybody's going everywhere except in a straight line.
Matthew, if this gets bad enough and it continues like this, there's every chance it could actually be red flag because the track becomes undrivable.
Like that.
Like that.
Ooh,
Adam Macro, Darren Hossack car.
Is that your car?
Right into
that's my car.
right into the sand trap.
Well, here's a tip, it needs a wheel alignment.
You know what, Cito? There's about 30,000 people saying that about their car in the car park, topping it from the hail. Grant Kenny.
Oh. They may well stop this, Grant.
Oh, there's Paul Dumbrell and Thomas Mazzera heavily into the wall. Sorry, Grant.
Inside the car's a nightmare, Glenn. It fogs up fiercely, doesn't it? You've got the internal demister on, but very often it doesn't overcome the amount of water. What's going on here?
Have a look at this thing coming back towards us now. Like he's just trying to drive at 20 k's, and he actually can't even get the thing to get. Look at it. But then look at that.
That's ice all over the road.
That's better than be doing 5 k's.
This is like driving in the snow. Look at it.
Thank God I am not out there. That's all I can say.
That's what you call a BA boat. Amazingly gutsy. Johnson goes deep, really deep into the chase. He gets that spot off Jason Bright. Oh, something's gone off in our race leader.
Race leader, Winterbottom off the road, drops a spot.
Steady on, it's okay, mate.
That puts Craig Lowndes in the race lead. They all go firing past Mark Winterbottom. And the Dick Johnson Racing team were winners out of that as well. Stephen Johnson now comes around and muscles Bright out of the way for second place. Murphy wants a piece of it. Courtney's in the battle as well. What a fascinating finish to this race. 13 laps to go. Our leader, car 888, the defending champion, Craig Lowndes.
Lowndes has often got super skill in these conditions. We've seen it before. Wets are there if they need them. But Bridie really suffering on those cold tyres. Lowndes, Stephen Johnson, Greg Murphy. Look at this pack.
We waited and waited and waited for this race to explode. And now it has. It's all opened up and Bright into the wall big time. That was a huge impact. He's managed to bounce back, but his day's done. He is out of the picture. So is Russell Ingall.
And one of the HRT cars there, Ingall off at McPhillamy. I think that could have been Mark Scaife in too. I'll confirm it for you. It's diabolical up there. you've got to pay Marks for having a go, but Cold Tyres have cruelled the day for this bloke and his teammate Adam Macro.
They were so close.
Okay, mate, there's a safety car out. We need to get you into pit lane as soon as possible.
So close. They came in and took a gamble and it didn't work. It was a big impact.
And Scaife is the other car involved, but separate incidents.
I just saw him shoot off to the left of our screen and went wham into the side of the wall.
Watch the leader, huge moment through the chase. 300 kilometres an hour, surfs out the other side, almost rolls the Castrol forward, gathers it up, drops a bunch of spots. The race has gone off.
And not for the first time, Craig Lowndes had to take evasive action at the end of the chase. This was his view of it. Look at Winterbottom goes off. By now, he is soaring through the air and somehow staying on the ground at the end of it. He'll come into picture again. Wham! That is out of control.
How's your heart rate?
A little bit lower, I reckon, than Mark Winterbottom's. That was the race lead. Going down, he caught the edge there. Oh, man, that's scary. That is really scary, and so is this. So Mark Dutton's been forced to play weather forecaster.
You know what,
the best he could do was not sure. Restart, off we go.
You know what I'd do? If I were them, I'd do it, because Courtney will mirror them, and then it'll be a wet weather race between both of them, because I don't reckon James would tough it out. It's too wet.
So our 3 championship contenders, pouring up Winterbottom and Courtney, make up the top 3 of this race. It is belting down. They're not on wet tyres.
The question that I would ask in either of the bunkers at Vodafone, Change for the Lead or Dim Beam, is can we afford a crash? And the answer to that is no. Yeah. So look at this. If they end up in the wall, it's game over. It's going to be game over for one of these contenders if they're not careful. They've got to get on wet tyres now.
Look at this. That is so slippery, you will not believe it.
If you're down the autoscape here, you'd play the risk game, but I wouldn't play the risk game.
Oh, James Courtney's about to...
Oh, no! He's in the fence! The boat's in the fence!
They're all in the fence! Oh, unbelievable! Top 3 in the fence. Van Gisbergen goes as well. Suddenly, Whincup has managed to keep going. Courtney's desperately trying to go within the fence.
That's stupid. I said it 15 seconds ago. They pushed that you cannot afford to have a crash in these conditions. They should have been on wets.
Particular attention to the right front.
He's got nothing on the right front. It's going nowhere.
They're all broken. Forget about it.
This is just incredible.
Damage, Prixie. The right front appears to have damage. It could be just flat. Let's have a good look. Let's just take our time.
Before wet. Got damage on front right.
This could end up being a red flag, which means that if it's red flags, it could backdate. I need to see where we're at in percentage terms.
But we are ready for
it's got broken front suspension.
Guys, this is when you've got to go with the driver. You've got to go with the driver's feel. When he said on the safety car at the restart, it's time for wets.
We have passed the critical 75%. It can be declared a race.
Here we go. Here we go. So that's Van Gisbergen at the top of the hill. Coming down Australia Avenue. The wheel spin for Garth Tander. Here's the proximity of what was car 1 and 2. Have a look at that big moment there in the standing water for Van Gisbergen.
You are the leader.
Aquaplaning for Van Gisbergen was an extraordinary image of the thing crabbing sideways at high speed down pit straight, but that's worked out quite well for Tander. So he must have made more ground round the back in the drier sections of the track than we thought. We thought, in fact, I made the remark that that will have hurt him. It hasn't. That was wrong, the wrong statement. So Garth Tander and the Holden Racing team, by extending a lap, have actually claimed position. And now, we looked at images before where we talked about the southwestern corner of the track being dry. Well, it's certainly not anymore. Look at that. It's the full shine over there. But what we do have is a fascinating contest between these two guys for the lead of the race. And remember, at the beginning, it was Van Gisbergen that was mighty strong in these conditions. And he's got warmer tyres, not by much, and that's an awkward place to pass at turn 8 in the wet with low vis. Look at the debris all over the road there.
How's the oversteer? Van Gisbergen then lit the throttle up in second gear, and it wound itself sideways. He was trying to get a run on Garth Tander. Have a look at the water. This is bordering on safety car time again now, because that's very heavy in that zone.
He's going to have another crack. He's determined at the moment, Van Gisbergen. They are still racing for the lead. The track is green. He's going to duck out. This is Ryan Walkinshaw watching and holding his breath. Tucks back in once more. There's no space down there. Garth is having terrible trouble pulling that car up. He can't touch the throttle until it's straight. The radios are alive with complaining drivers. It's almost impossible to concentrate at the moment. Here we are at 5.
This is all about running second in the championship, Croppo. He wants to get by, because if it was red flagged or suspended like it was yesterday, Van Gisbergen wins and he runs second in the series. So he's trying everything he can to get by Garth Tander. Tander gets down the inside of Wall. Big slide again. How was that?
And David
Van Gisbergen.
Wall did the right thing there, just sidestepping and allowing the leaders to get on with the job. Professional gamesmanship that was. Race here at Tim Schenken, there's a massive amount of water down here. Tander can't stop, he can't stop. And so just as they called it, Garther's locked up with the amount of water down there. He's recovered it. But that yields position. That's Blake Smith.
Control line there. Cruise around the control line.
All right, here's the situation at Sydney Olympic Park for the Sydney NRMA 500. The field is lined up behind the safety car at the moment. We have 29 laps still to race, and the rain here is bucketing down as it did yesterday. We're in the middle of a horrific storm at the moment, and the cameras don't really do justice to the amount of water that is coming down at the moment, and it is pooling down and causing drama. Red flags now.
Yeah, I can just hear Race Management Channel. Tim Schenken has just instructed a suspension of the race from Cam's race control, because just as we went to the break, it got darker again. And look at that. I mean, it's just impossible to drive a car around here. Every single driver's been on the radio saying, I can't. Shane Van Gisbergen actually suggested a moment ago they needed to slow the safety car down because he couldn't keep up with it. It was so bad. And remember that this race is time certain as always, and it was scheduled to be completed at the 74th lap or at 41 minutes past the hour local time. And that's the scene there in the garage at the moment. Larko, it's pretty evil out there. So now, wetter again at the southern end of the racetrack. The curbs look ultra slippery down there. Down the inside cut to Stephen Richards. Big contact with Warren Luff. Spins Warren Luff. And that tangles Dumbrell in the process. That one's been brewing. They're going to have to play the weather as the cards drop. So now it's crazy heavy wet out there. Oh, and we've got the usual disaster at turn 12. Nose to tail impact, a heap of cars here.
Track will be blocked.
So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars here, and it's on a slick tyre. That's the view of car number 6, David Russell. Are they going to get all this sorted out? They've all managed to grab reverse. Look how slippery it is on the inside there where there's a patch. And one of the Brad Jones racing cars still battling here. The safety car's being deployed. So this is Paul Dumbrell, and they're at a point now where they're committed to having to get onto a wet tyre. They stretched it beyond what you'd ideally want to be able to do tyre-wise, and it's raining heavily in the pit lane here in front of us.
This is the replay. On board with Paul Dumbrell. He gets down into 12. He's turned in here. He's gone back a gear, straight ahead. So that patch is like ice. And then bang, bang, bang. There were 5 cars when you counted them.
So here it is
initially. Bang, bang, bang. And then there was another car. The Bottle car arrives in a second.
Well, the patch, as you said, you can see the shine on it. Car number 8 heavily into the back of car number 1.
That's afterwards.
And that's
a long way after.
Yeah, Macaulay Jones. So it was a walking pace corner in the end.
Well, yeah, so Macaulay Jones was in earlier. He was in the front. And then this is like a lap or a lap and a half later.
So it's 8 and 14.
Yeah.
So it's both of them. I'll be running out of front guards and front bumpers there. So keep up, everyone. Take a stock take of what's going on out there. You need a big spreadsheet to sort out who was where in all of that. And that is Alex Rouleau, barely wrestling that thing under control. That was the first car to get onto a wet. And it hasn't helped to cause actually big damage on the front of that. And it's actually dislodged the tyres there as well, which means that they'll probably have to be attended to while the safety car's out.
Red flag, this is a suspended race. Safety car, you're to lead the cars into pit lane and lead the cars down the fast lane, stopping at pit exit, please.
Cam's race control race director Tim Schenken has just called a red flag to suspend this race. There's the images from inside race control. There's so much standing water out there at the moment. The storm cells are right overhead. And now that means that we freeze this race. Now the race director declares the track wet, which just means that officially you can come in and put a wet tyre on. We spoke about it in the Hino Hub earlier. The crossover number we think's about 1 minute and 23 seconds. It's not just wet, it's hammering down there at turn 6 at the moment, and they will be creeping along on a Dunlop slick tyre. They've got residual temperature in the tyre at the moment, but that will not last long. This is going to be a battle to keep the cars on the racetrack. What a story this afternoon in Townsville.
What do you do?
What do you do? Do you hang in there? Can you keep the thing on the island, or do you need to bring it in for a Dunlop wet? And certainly nobody wants to blink at this stage.
But it's sunny there.
There's not much rain around, mate. There's not much around.
So do you take a punt and stay on the slick tyre? They are going to take a punt and stay on the slick tyre. And we're watching some of the absolute best in the world in these conditions, because Mostert, we know, is like that. Waters is extraordinary in these conditions.
And with warmth in the tyre and the drivers fully connected to and understanding their cars and the road condition, they'll hang on to the bitter end. They'll need to see a huge drop in lap speed before they make the change. Last lap through, 19.9 for Mozzie, 19.8 for Randall, 18.8 for Waters, to your point, and a 19 flat for Will Brown, 4th position, and Will playing into the game here. The margins are condensing, the rain is falling. We've got 10 laps to go in Townsville. It's lucky race number 13 in the Repco Supercars Championship, and these blokes are holding on to these things and wrestling a ton and a half around this racetrack.
And you've got to stop the paint. You can see the line, the difference there that Mostert and Randall and Waters were using on the exit of turn 6. If you make the paint, you make the grass, you make the fence. So they were doing a very conservative exit job to stay off the painted line and stay off that complete painted curve. Randall now putting pressure on.
Now, this also dramatically changes the survivability of the tyres at the back end of their line. They have a little cool out, they might get a breather, they might now survive better. Waters is right on the back of his teammate. Only a heartbeat to go. Randall was vying for the lead. He might now be under threat for second. 9 laps remain in Townsville. Mostert, Randall, Waters, Brown, LeBrock, Payne, Feeney, Davison down the 8th now, Heimgartner and Courtney. And here comes Cam down the inside, P2.
That was bold. He was a long way back. He just fired straight down there. He obviously knew it was his teammate, but at that point there, he was committed to it. If Thomas turned in, he was going to fire him off the road.
Back to the beginning in the battle between Mostert and Waters. It reignites exactly as it did off the line at the start of this motor race much earlier this afternoon. Have a look at those numbers in the graphic at the bottom of the screen. Have a look up in the top left-hand corner and see how many laps we've got to go. Have a look in the background at the black sky. That weather did come in from the southeast despite the sunshine that we saw. And things have changed pretty dramatically for a bunch of people. Notably, Will Davison's car has not adapted to those conditions at all, having gone down now into position number 8. Here's our race lead. Mostert, 9/10 of a second from Waters. Randall on screen for Castro. Just lurking in the background in the shadows at the moment is Will Brown. There he is. Our championship leader has done a mighty job for position number 13 on the grid today. He's a factor. He may well get onto the podium. You would not have thought that possible earlier in the day. There they are, right in front of us with 8 to go. Anything can happen in terms of this podium.